The best that they will ever do for you is reflect and be the divine mirror to help you see that cord more clearly, to help you see that unhealthy connection more clearly. But at the end of the day, it will still be you that needs to release and cut and resolve and come back to your power. There's no judgment here. There's no expectation. But you have to do this. You have to make that choice. If you don't, then your life will continue to move in the way that you most likely do not want it to. So it's about taking your power back by realizing that you have the choice to do so. And you get to. And you come back to, and this is what the end of the affirmation says, you come back to the abundant life that you deserve to have. Welcome, beautiful souls, to season 2 of the Cosmic Love Antenna with your host, Harrison Ma. I invite you on a mystical voyage from the intellect to the soul, delving deep into the mysteries of love's spiritual essence and its unfolding. This podcast celebrates the peeling back of heart layers, revealing profound lessons, interviews with spiritual seekers, and practices to open your heart to love's infinite wisdom. Good morning, afternoon, evening, spiritual beings. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Cosmic Love Antenna and a deep dive into the layers restricting your powerful cosmic heart space and your spiritual love. Today's conversation is a very practical one. Most of these conversations are very practical, but today's conversation will be extra practical for you. This was something that came through me a few days ago, an idea, an insight, and I wanted to share it straight away with all of you. And today's topic, just to get straight into it, is spiritual affirmations to open your heart space. Spiritual affirmations to open your heart space, and what they are, how you can use them, and why they are important. Before I get into them today, a quick bit of housekeeping here for people that are joining either live on Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube. If you have comments, questions today that bubble up for you, please add them into the comments section. And I'd love to add your voice and your beautiful heart into this podcast recording. And if you are listening on the podcast, listening on your favorite player, please share this out far and wide with a friend, a family member, or a lover that you think it can support and guide, as this helps the show and it helps me pick conversations and helps me tune into topics. When you do share it, when you leave your feedback, helps me pick topics that are just for you. Okay, so I want to, before I start sharing the first, I have 10 spiritual heart-opening affirmations to share with you today. Before I start that list, I want to really highlight why it is important to use affirmations. Why is it important to have them as a practice? Me personally, I use affirmations both in the morning and evening times throughout my day with these benefits that I'm about to share in mind. Right? I share them with the intent and with the presence behind them to support me in very specific ways. And I'm going to share those ways with you now. So first of all, these affirmations today are designed to help you open your heart. And I don't think I need to go into the importance of this, but I will very quickly. Most of us, if you're like me, we don't have a problem closing our hearts. We're very good at doing that due to our pains, our traumas, etc. What we have difficulty with is opening our heart. And let me be very clear with my words. You deserve to connect into this greater reality through your heart space, not just through your beautiful mind and your ego and your mental scape, but very deeply and profoundly through your heart, because that is where your spiritual essence lies. So most of us need help in this regard. Most of us need guidance. Most of us need tools. And that is where these affirmations come in. The other sort of why behind these affirmations and how we can use them is really understanding the power of our belief and our intention. Each of these affirmations today that I will share and also be giving some spiritual teachings around them, each of them are supercharged with your belief. Each of them are supercharged with your creative energy. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is that your field, your environment, what you're taking in is dictated by your consciousness state, by your current state of awareness. And that current state of awareness or your consciousness state first begins in very important ways through your belief system. So without going too deeply into this rabbit hole, because I've done a couple of episodes on this already, but just simply as we go through these affirmations today, ask yourself, do you believe what you're saying? Is there loving intention behind the words that you are speaking? And most importantly, and this is the final reason why and powerful component of these affirmations, is there feeling behind the words that you're speaking? Do you feel passionate about the affirmation that you are expressing? Because if you feel feeling, if you feel sincerity, if you feel passion behind these affirmations, then that too supercharges them. That too adds emphasis and adds creative energy to that which you decide to share, in this case, the affirmation. So have those in the back of your awareness as we go into these affirmations today. When you practice them in your daily routine, remember to add belief, add intention, add feelings. And then finally, just before I start with this first one here today, I am going to share some spiritual laws around these affirmations. So each of them have some spiritual understandings and teachings within them, and I'm going to explain them. So your beautiful mind can have some framework in which these affirmations are working, right? Because a lot of the difficulty that most of us have, myself included, with stepping into our spiritual world is our mind and its ability to need to know the thing, its ability to wanting to work it out, its ability to needing to have an intellectual framework to lean into the spiritual adventure. So if we can understand what is happening here, we can easily open our hearts to what is being expressed. Okay, so our first affirmation that I want to share with you to open your heart from a spiritual lens is, and I'd encourage you to write these down if you're listening and not doing anything like driving or doing chores. Write these affirmations down. The first one is, I surrender my fears to the universe and invite the healing power of love to flow through every aspect of my being. I surrender my fears to the universe and invite the healing power of love to flow through every aspect of my being. So this first affirmation has a few different aspects to it, but I'm going to pull out just one. And it is this understanding of, I surrender my fears to the universe. In this example, we can replace universe with God, with source, with the divine, with any word that you use for your higher power. What I feel is important for you to understand is when we surrender anything, not just fear, but when we surrender anything over to our higher power, we are not surrendering it over to something that's outside of us. Yes, God, source, divine, the universe it's literally outside of you. It's everything that you see. But in relation to this affirmation, when you surrender your fear and connect into the healing power of love, you're surrendering to the higher power that is inside of you. You're surrendering to the higher power that exists in your heart. You're surrendering to the universe, to God, to source that is also you. And I underline this teaching because if you grew up like me in many religious teachings, you were taught that your higher power is outside of you. And there maybe is some illusion and some fear around that in itself. But this affirmation really affirms the higher power that is you. Right? When you surrender your fear and connect into the healing power of love, you're connecting to your infinite power, to your infinite source, to your infinite divinity. All right, next up here. Before I read the second affirmation, I just want to point out something that came through. As you're doing these affirmations, I would also encourage you to notice which parts of you do not resonate with the affirmations and the words being spoken. I'm going to say that again. When you speak these affirmations, notice which parts of you do not resonate or do not agree or feel in resistance to these words. The reason that that is important is because when you notice the parts of you that don't resonate, those are the parts that deserve your love. Those are the parts that deserve to be healed. Those are the parts that are most likely coming up in other areas of your life. So another way that these affirmations can be used is to notice in the moment the part of you that's in resistance and bringing loving awareness to that part. Okay, next affirmation. Next spiritual affirmation to open your heart is, my heart is a channel of divine compassion, and I extend love and understanding to all souls I encounter. My heart is a channel of divine compassion, and I extend love and understanding to all souls I encounter. So again, I'm going to pull out one little teaching in this affirmation, and it is the part that describes my heart is a channel. That channel word has a lot of baggage in the spiritual community. I, for example, held the limiting belief that to be a channel means you were someone special. To be a channel means you were someone that was born gifted and you are different to me and you have unlocked something that I potentially cannot unlock. And that could not be further from the truth. As this affirmation describes, we are all divine channels of love. And the way that we open our channel to higher consciousness, in this case, compassion, is through our heart. We open our channel to higher consciousness through our heart. And this is not something we gain. This is something we are born with. We are born to be a channel of love. We are born to be a channel of higher consciousness. We are born to be a channel of higher frequency and all the things. So as you read this affirmation, really feel that birthright gift that you have. Because if it hasn't manifested in your life, then there is probably a limiting belief and or suppressed emotion around that gift. Next up, affirmation number 3 is, I release the burdens of my past, allowing my heart to be light and free to experience the beauty of the present moment. I release the burdens of the past, allowing my heart to be light and free to experience the beauty of the present moment. Once again, a deep teaching within this affirmation is the impact our past shadows, our past illusions, our past pain has on our ability to open to this divine present moment. It's very easy for us to say that the past is an illusion, or the past should be forgotten, or the past should be let go of and moved on from. But what we do in that understanding is we overlook the very real emotions and thought forms that we are still holding on to that are restricting our light. So what am I getting at here? To move on from the past, we must actively make the choice to let go, to release, and to forgive ourselves. To let go, to release, and to forgive ourselves. Because as soon as we do this, as soon as we make this choice, we allow those limiting beliefs to move on. We allow that suppressed anger, that suppressed guilt, that suppressed shame, that suppressed grief. We allow it the space to release, to be detached, to be expressed. Because we want to be present, but we also don't want to spiritually bypass. We want to feel the feelings. We want to move through the suppressed pain and suppressed trauma. And we do this by making a choice in this moment to do so. Because let me be clear, if you're like me, most of us are unconsciously making a choice to ignore these things, unconsciously making the choice to ignore the unforgiveness we hold around a past action, making a choice to ignore the shame that we feel around that relationship ending. Just some examples. So we need to step into these burdens. We need to observe them. We need to feel them. We need to love them and release them. Okay, let's keep it flowing. I just want to welcome all the beautiful souls joining on LinkedIn and Facebook. I see your lovely faces. I feel your presence. If you have comments and questions, as always, through this podcast, pop it in the chat, and I'd love to add in your beautiful essence as we keep flowing. Affirmation number 4, the 4th spiritual affirmation to open your heart. I connect deeply with the divine source within me, feeling its boundless love permeate every fiber of my being. I connect deeply with the divine source within me, feeling its boundless love permeate every fiber of my being. So there's actually a lot in this one, but again, I'm just going to pull out one little teaching within it. And it's the word boundless. If you've listened to this show for any amount of time, or if you're new to this podcast and my expression, my frequency, I want to be very clear and make something very evident for you. What you are made of is pure love, not just any love. You're made of boundless love. You're made of unbounded, unlimited, unrestricted love. As Rumi said, there is more love in you than you could ever imagine. And I'm not just referring to the emotion and the feeling of love. I'm talking about the consciousness state that is love itself. That is what this affirmation is referring to. Love permeates every fiber of my being. The reason it permeates every fiber of your being is because that is all that you are. So practically what this means is if you do not feel this boundless love, you are stuck in an illusion. And I say that with no judgment. I say that as a human that is constantly getting stuck in similar illusions. But we must remind ourselves that it is an illusion. If we don't feel the boundless nature of our truest state, that is not reality. So we accept it, we see it, and then we make a choice to come back to our truth. That is how we come back to it. Right? We remind ourselves that one of our truest characteristics is this boundless state. And if we are not in it for whatever reason, something is moving through us that is an illusion. And it's up to us to bring our mindful awareness to illuminate it and come back to our baseline state. And that is the divine source, as the first part of the affirmation goes on about. To connect deeply to that divine source is opening to this boundless state. Happy it's resonating, Gemma. I see your comments. Okay, let's keep going. And the next affirmation flows beautifully on from this state of love that you are. So the next affirmation is, love is the essence of my existence, and I radiate its warmth and tenderness to all living beings. Love is the essence of my existence, and I radiate its warmth and tenderness to all living beings. So this affirmation is significant because it highlights something that I see a lot of clients bring up, something that I'm always desiring to embody. And it's this idea or this prompt to help others in a way that is for their highest good. And what I mean by this is we can get stuck in the illusion that we must sacrifice ourselves for people first. We must sacrifice ourselves for our family. We must sacrifice ourselves for our friends. We must sacrifice ourselves for our clients, our children, etc. And while we could do a whole episode on why that is not true, what I want to bring your mindful awareness to in this moment is the opposite of this. What if we lived in a world where when you put yourself first, that was helping others? What if we lived in a universe where when you focused in on your self-love journey and your self-love activation and the cultivation of your love energy, that was helping people, that was supporting your children, that was supporting your friends, your family members, the people that you look after? That's exactly what this affirmation is highlighting. When you start to unlock deeper layers of your heart and you start to radiate the consciousness of love that you have always been, that radiation is felt by the outside world. When you tap into your infinite heart space and you start to embody the presence of love that you are, and you step into a room with your friend, with your lover, with your family member, they feel that without even you saying a word. And what have you done? Have you prioritized them? Have you put them first? Have you sacrificed yourself? No. You've done the work on your own heart. You've opened your own heart. You've spoken an affirmation. You've done a meditation. You've acted mindfully in a certain way. And you've allowed your presence of love to speak through you. So this affirmation reminds us that self-love, self-care, self-devotion is never selfish. Not only is it not selfish, it is the way you can help people best. Because we can take a horse to water, but we can't make them drink. So if we can't make them drink, the best thing we can do is be an example of what is possible. Next affirmation. My heart is a sanctuary of peace and acceptance, embracing both my strengths and vulnerabilities with love and grace. My heart is a sanctuary of peace and acceptance, embracing both my strengths and vulnerabilities with love and grace. I'm going to pull out, again, one word, one teaching from this affirmation, one spiritual law, if you want to call it that. And it's the word vulnerabilities. I embrace both my strengths and vulnerabilities in the sanctuary of my heart with peace and acceptance. Notice it's not just saying I embrace my strengths. One of my favorite other affirmations to share with people is I am all that I am. And what that refers to is I accept and honor and love every part of my being, including the parts that are quote unquote broken, including the parts that are in shadow, including the parts that feel resistance, including the parts that feel tight and uneasy. The reason we do this is because it is in our shadows, it is in our vulnerabilities that we also hold value. We also hold gifts. We also hold experience to share with ourselves and other people. So one of the best ways we can open our heart with the world, in this case with this spiritual affirmation, is not just learning to accept our vulnerabilities, but love them equally. Love the part that doesn't resonate with these words that I'm saying. Love the part that is still not ready to accept all that you are. Love the part that doesn't know how to love yet. In that loving, you open your heart to more of you. Okay, affirmation number 7 here. Spiritual affirmation to open your beautiful divine heart. And again, before I keep going here, I'd really encourage you the way to practice these affirmations, the way that I do them, is doing them in the morning when you wake up and also when you go to bed. And why do we do that? We do that because we want to start our day with these intentional practices, these intentional pieces of awareness, and we want to end our day with them. Because it's so easy for us to get taken away by outside things. And that includes being taken away by them in our sleep as well, right? That's why most of us don't sleep so deeply and restfully, is because we're still reverberating on the day of disconnection. So if we can end our day with these intentional insights, then it's going to be supportive in many ways. Okay. Jem, I'm just reading your comment, my friend. I'm in an intentional yoga sun salute. There is an affirmation with an upward dog back bend. I open my heart to all my success and failures. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's that same idea, right? I love it. All right, next affirmation here. Number 7 is I am open to giving and receiving love unconditionally, knowing it is the foundation of all spiritual growth. I am open to giving and receiving love unconditionally, knowing it is the foundation of spiritual growth. So, giving and receiving, I think we fall under the illusion that it's two separate things. I give and I receive. But in reality, they're the same end of the one love stick. Your ability to give love unconditionally and your ability to receive love unconditionally both have the potential to be unbalanced. And you can't have one without the other. So one reflection on this affirmation is getting honest with yourself and asking, where are you giving too much? Where are you not receiving enough? And where can these shift? In all aspects of your life, in all relationships. This is not just a romantic partnership conversation. This is in your friendship dynamics, in your family dynamics. And really getting honest, and that's the second part of this affirmation, that you're doing it unconditionally. That you're giving love with no attachment or expectation. We all do this. I do this. We all think we're giving unconditionally, but there's an unconscious plea, an unconscious attachment, an unconscious expectation that we have sitting on top of that beautiful giving opportunity. So this affirmation can really open our hearts to reflecting on that. And I would say even more so reflecting on where are we not allowing ourselves to receive unconditionally. I'll share vulnerably from my heart. I often allow myself to receive, but then as soon as I receive, I feel the need to give something back. That's not unconditional. That's not unconditional receiving. You receive unconditionally, and then that's it. There should not be an urge to repay the favor. This is why this is the foundation of spiritual growth. Because you deserve to receive. But I'll say this for all of you to listen to and feel deeply. You deserve to receive love just for the sake of receiving love. Nothing more, nothing less. Next affirmation, number 8, 3 more here to go. Each day, I consciously choose love over fear, knowing that love is the key to unlocking the wisdom of my soul. Each day, I consciously choose love over fear, knowing that love is the key to unlocking the wisdom of my soul. Okay, so this is a big teaching. And a word comes in to add to this affirmation to help you understand it more deeply. And it is the word karma. Karma is very misunderstood, in my opinion. And this affirmation actually gives you the secret to understanding what karma is. Karma is a conscious choice where we're choosing love over fear. when we have chosen either consciously or unconsciously fear over love, that is unbalanced karma. That is separation. That is karma that needs to come back into alignment, which is love. It is in this karma alignment or karma rebalancing, wisdom flows. The soul expands. So if you've held on to a lot of guilt and shame around past choices and karma you may or may not have, know that it can be broken down to this very simple affirmation. Consciously choosing love over fear. In every, I want to underline that, every choice you get to make. Choosing love over fear. If you've spent time working with me, or if you've listened to this podcast, you've often heard me share another affirmation, which is, what would love do? You can stack that onto this one. One way that you can consciously make sure that you choose love over fear is asking yourself that question. In this interview that I have, what would love do? In this argument that I'm having with my lover, what would love do? In this trigger that's coming up within this friendship dynamic, what would love do? That's how you know and how you step into the wisdom of your soul, or the love of your soul, rather than separation and fear. It's a big one. And when you see old patterns reemerge, old karmic wounds reemerge, you rebalance them, you resolve them by seeing the fear that you picked in the past, you picked in the past life, you picked in the past dynamic, and you rebalance it with love by consciously choosing love. I hope that's coming through, because this is, the spiritual teaching. Okay, next affirmation. Next spiritual affirmation to open your beautiful heart is, I release any barriers that hinder my heart's expansion, allowing love to flow freely and abundantly into my life. I release any barriers that hinder my heart's expansion, allowing love to flow freely and abundantly in my life. So, what this one brings up is a conversation around, and this isn't only what it's referring to, but I'm just going to make this simple. I release any barriers. Often those barriers take the forms of energetic cords that we have attached to outside people, places, and things. So cord cutting is another way to say this. I release any barriers that hinder my heart's expansion. Cutting cords and detaching from energetic connections that no longer serve us is a practice we all need to be doing. But like the previous affirmation, we need to be doing it consciously. So saying this affirmation could be one way that you could do that. I release any barriers that hinder my heart's expansion, allowing love to flow freely. But if that's not enough, then you'll have to go deeper. You'll have to get specific. You'll have to hone in to the person, the place, or thing that you are currently still connected to that is taking your power away, because that's what it's doing, right? It's keeping you in the illusion that that thing has power over you, that person has power over you, that experience has power over you. But it's an illusion, because your power, your infinite potential will always be inside of you. But we get stuck in the illusion that it's not. So the only way through that illusion is by you consciously making the choice to release it. It's so important to hear. Only you can do that. No one outside of you. Right? Even if you need help, Like even if you go to a coach or a healer or a doctor or whoever, ever do for you is reflect and be the divine mirror to help you see that cord more clearly, to help you see that unhealthy connection more clearly. But at the end of the day, it will still be you that needs to release and cut and resolve and come back to your power. There's no judgment here. There's no expectation. But you have to do this. You have to make that choice. If you don't, then your life will continue to move in the way that you most likely do not want it to. So it's about taking your power back by realizing that you have the choice to do so. And you get to. And you come back to, and this is what the end of the affirmation says, you come back to the abundant life that you deserve to have. I don't know about you, but these affirmations definitely get me going. All right, last one. Last spiritual affirmation to open your powerful heart space. And it's a beautiful one to end on. My heart is a gateway to higher consciousness, and I nurture its growth through acts of kindness, forgiveness, and empathy. It's beautiful. My heart is a gateway to higher consciousness, and I nurture its growth through acts of kindness, forgiveness, and empathy. I just want you to sit and feel that for a second. And this affirmation, much like most of these, we could have a whole separate conversation just on itself with the word, with this phrase of it, gateway to a higher consciousness, your heart. But I will keep it very concise and just pull out a very specific teaching here. Your heart is more than an organ, a chakra, an energy center. It is the multidimensional grid that connects you to all of what you actually are. And all of what you actually are is a multidimensional being of love and light. Okay, I've done a couple episodes on this. I'll put them in the show notes. But put simply, the image I like to always share around this is the Russian doll, right? And like the Russian doll, we have different layers of ourself. We have a smaller body. We have the bigger bodies that expand out and out, right? These are our energy bodies. These are different layers of our multidimensional self. One of the ways that we access these higher dimensions of self, examples of these higher dimensional selves are our Buddhic nature, our Christ consciousness, our angelic consciousness, our angelic nature. One of the ways that we access these higher states of being that we all are, is through what? Is through acts of kindness, acts of forgiveness, acts of empathy. I want to go back to one of the previous, Gemma, you're saying my heart is a gateway. It's exactly what it is. I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, right? I talked about how your heart, by putting yourself first and loving yourself first, it opens yourself up. So yes, that is true. It raises your frequency. But then the next step we can go to go even deeper into our frequency of love. Let's use the same example that we talked about. You walk into a room in your presence of love, your heart open, and let's say you see your friend, you see your lover, you see your family member, and they need your support. One way that we can continue that love frequency and we can expand it even further is through an act of service, through an act of kindness, through an act of forgiveness and empathy. It will continue to raise. We'll continue to go higher into our dimensional nature. That is really what this affirmation is highlighting. When you love on others, it raises your frequency. It expands and opens your heart. And a side effect, it's funny to even say this, but a side effect of that is it helps them. A side effect of that is that it gives them love, gives them whatever they need in that moment. Right? So you think you're doing it for them, but ultimately the biggest revelation here is that it's helping you go deeper into yourself. All right. So those are all my affirmations here today. I hope they hit your heart. I hope they expanded you. As always, I want you to practice them. I want you to implement them and let me know how they go. I want to read you a little note that I wrote for myself around these affirmations here to wrap this up. And it is, as you integrate these affirmations into your daily life, you'll find that your heart becomes more receptive to spiritual experiences and the profound connection with the divine. Embrace the transformative power of love and allow it to guide you on your spiritual journey with an open and compassionate heart. Right? And I think that beautifully highlights everything that we've spoken about here today and why these affirmations are so important and what they can really help you do in your life. One of my favorite definitions for being spiritual or spirituality is connecting to a larger whole. You remembering that you are a beautiful, unique expression of a loving one source. And each of these affirmations through your heart can help you reconnect back to that truth. So make the choice to practice these affirmations and set that intention. Again, let me know how you go. Love to hear your feedback on this episode. I may do more of these with some other affirmations around maybe forgiveness and some other ideas. So let me know if this resonates and I'll keep them flowing. Leave your feedback over on Apple and Spotify. Share this out with a friend, a family member, a lover. If you joined live, thank you for adding in your grace and your attention today. But as always, until next time here on the show, I send you love, I send you light, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Love Antenna with me, your host, Harrison. If you gained value or this episode hit your heart, please remember to share this out with a friend, a family member, or a lover. You can also leave your love over on Apple reviews and Spotify star feedback, and this helps me spread my frequency to more souls in need. Finally, if you want to connect with me deeper, want to reach out, interested in coaching, please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn at Harrison Meagher, Meagher spelled Meagher. Sending you so much love.
Miles, are you ready to record our promo for Season 2 of the Wanna Bet podcast?
David, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Miles, we're not here to quote lines from Airplane. We're here to tell people that Season 2 starts August 18th.
But I like Airplane.
I know you do, but Wanna Bet is a sports betting podcast. Each week we bet $1,000 on the NFL teams and games that we love.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is fun. And last year you picked over 60% of your games correctly.
How'd you do?
We're not talking about that. We are telling people that they can find us every Friday. So no more movie quotes.
Roger.
Electricast. Electricast.